Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. This webinar will cover the topics from AppExchange Development Checklist to COA+LMA Configuration and Setup. My name is Asaf Ahmed. I'm a passionate business development executive working at CloudLogi. Before we get started with this amazing webinar, it would be an honor for me to introduce CloudLogi before you. CloudLogi is a leading Salesforce development and consulting company that offers Salesforce customization, integration, and migration services. CloudLogi is also a Salesforce ISV partner as well as a proud member of Pledge 1%. Let me now introduce you to today's speaker, Ajay, the CEO and founder of CloudLogi. Ajay is an accomplished technical architect, consultant, and business analyst with global consultancy experience. Ajay has assisted and implemented solutions in industries including banking, healthcare, networking, education, telecommunication, non-profit, and manufacturing. We also have Indrajeet with us in the panel, who is a renowned business development head at CloudLogi. Indrajeet has knowledge around all the configuration of Salesforce that how it should be implemented. Additionally, he has expertise in managing all sorts of Salesforce org and editions. Now, without further delay, let me call upon Ajay to begin the webinar with the AppExchange Development Checklist.
Okay, thanks Asaf for the introduction. I hope everyone is able to see my screen, and also thanks to my wonderful audience who took out their time to join the webinar, especially on a weekday. And for some of you, it might be early morning, early start of the day, and for some it might be a lazy afternoon. So don't worry guys, we will not make you fall asleep, and especially to the people in India who are joining this probably after office hours. So now let's proceed ahead to have a sneak peek into Salesforce AppExchange Development Checklist. This is a topic which is favorite of mine. I have wrote a couple of blogs in like few years back and all. So today I'm going to explain a bit more about that. So before we start our journey, I would like to inform about certain aspect of this webinar. So guys, if you have any question for us, and definitely you should have, I request you to please let us know in the QA session. So that we can summarize all the questions and we can answer each one of them and don't miss anyone or don't go off the track. And also I request everyone to stay on mute throughout the webinar, and feel free to post your question on the chat box and we can discuss those later during the QA session. Okay, so what I'm going to discuss today is going to be mostly on the planning and market study. So whenever we start planning an app for an AppExchange launch, so we'll be like the best suggested or the common 3 steps to do is planning and market study, development and best practices to ensure that it gets through the testing and the launch readiness phase. So, and as Asaf already showed a screen in which he talked about the cloud analogy sort of page as well as cloud analogy product. So we also have a couple of products on AppExchange. One of them is PinTags, which is a paid app. And we launched that app this year in February. And although it's not even 12 months, we are able to sell a good number of licenses. And we have a success story behind it. And the app is also a Demo Jam winner, which we are very proud to showcase. So we are going to share this exact success journey as well through this AppExchange Development Checklist, which I'm going to elaborate a bit. So, and first step is definitely the planning and market study. So whenever we start with a product, okay, so we need to think around like whether it is a generic problem or a specific one. Okay, so it can be a generic problem with Salesforce domain or a particular cloud of Salesforce or a particular feature. As an example, in our case, the app we have drag and drop. So earlier with classic view, there was like a 4-step process to upload any file or any document in Salesforce. So you have to select the file, click on a button, go to a different page, select a file, upload, and it gets uploaded. So it was a generic problem, a very small issue, and we took that concept and we created a free tool as drag and drop and now companies like Honeywell's, Virgin Australia, they are using this tool. So we can formalize it for a particular category. So in that case, a domain or an industry won't be specific to that we are developing something, but it can be a domain or a specific industry as well. Like you can develop a particular app for finance domain. So if you are having a good app idea, and generally it does happens to be in a domain in which there is a lot more to be explored. For example, education domain, or in healthcare sector, or in manufacturing sector. So you need to plan out whether your app is going to be care for which particular domain, and whether it will be a generic problem solver or a specific one. In many of the cases, when there is a specific one, like for example, which I told about drag and drop, or a utility tool, so it is taken out as a single feature, and when there is a array of problems you are solving, and when there is a sequence of connected problems for a specific domain, then it turns out to be a multi-feature app. So that we need to plan out very nicely, and you definitely need to move ahead with background study. So what I mean by background study is we should be taking care of that you are not reinventing the wheel. So you can go to AppExchange, you can search if there are already apps which are doing probably more or less the same thing on AppExchange or not. And in past, Salesforce might have allowed two app doing almost exactly the same thing to launch on AppExchange. But since last 1.5 years, with our experience, we have seen Salesforce is actually not allowing competitive apps which are having same features are not that much allowed. And you should definitely have something genuine, something something completely specific to a particular problem, to have it as your proof of concept, so that you can launch it. The most important thing is obviously OEM or ISV force. And what I would not like to dwell into what is OEM and ISV force. I hope everyone understands it. Otherwise, if someone have any question, you can ask me later down in the QA session. But whenever you are building a particular app, the logic of what price you are going to associate with it, whether it will be for a per user license, whether it will be a complete organization, like a complete company org which you are planning to sell it. So and that also plays a great part in developing app, how you design it, how you have architected it. The pricing model also makes a lot of creates a lot of impact on that. And whenever you are coming up with a OEM package, you should always remember that it should have the least dependency on Salesforce, other cloud objects, or other Salesforce features. OEM also have its own advantages. ISV Force has its own advantages, and it will be better if you research out very nicely on both of them, and then you plan out what to do. Again, planning, definitely all use case scenarios, everything should be well documented, because that is what Salesforce is also going to demand when you are going to do a readiness check, when you are going to move ahead for passing a Salesforce security review. Okay, so everything should be well documented. You should also analyze which particular part of Salesforce additions which your solution is going to cater to. So that is also important. And while we are doing this as a project manager, it's always a good practice to story point each of those user scenarios. That is definitely going to help you out in deciding the timeline. And timeline becomes very critical when you try multiple times and you fail security review, which has been a very common experience by companies, people, individuals, freelancers who try to launch their app on AppExchange. And this is a pretty standard screenshot, which I'm sure many of you have already seen. So you should definitely follow the process. Like you should definitely plan rather than simply go ahead and see like, okay, you have an idea and you have some code pieces and you plan to launch it. That might not work. So planning and strategizing your steps is always needed. I'm sure you might be having some questions. So guys, you can keep writing on the chat box, and I'm moving on to the next slide, which is development and best practices. And I have another one more slide. So yeah, let me talk a bit about development and best practices. So while development, this is number one, this is not a Salesforce standard launch setup. So it's not something which you are going to develop simply straight away in a sandbox for a feature or some part of another feature. So this, whenever you develop a particular app or a bolt solution or a flow solution or a component which you are planning to launch on AppExchange, you should be very careful in making sure that all the edges are curved, like they are not sharp enough. You need to ensure that what exactly features are you going to build. If it is a small utility tool, obviously the development will be quick, and many of the cases which I can say with people who have joined in as well as freelancers, like they have some piece of code, they see that, okay, that is useful, why don't I launch it as an app on AppExchange? So yeah, and I would say best of luck, because those kind of features, small quick utility tools, are always welcome on AppExchange, and it's easy to launch, having the less number of test scenarios associated with it. But definitely a big application, a complete suite solving a particular industry-based problem, okay, and that needs definitely a complete best practices based development, which might have a complete testing org or a complete feature development orgs of each features, and it depends upon on architect level how you want to organize the different features. If you see and you can identify that there are X number of features which are correlated and can be developed in one particular org, you do that in a particular org. You do a testing and related to that particular feature in a test org, which is Salesforce. Whenever I'm calling org, it's like Salesforce Debugging, and you can roll out. So Salesforce does provide within the same packaging org the logic or the concept to roll out multiple different devogs and associate them so that you can move the code base easily, obviously using an external tool as well as within Salesforce itself. Then definitely configuration. So many of the stuff can be achieved via configuration, and there is a good story which I would like to share. Is like one of the application last Dreamforce, which was really something which Salesforce promoted a lot, was an application of sort of awards. Like whenever an opportunity gets closed won, there will be awards coming in, or lights or stars coming up. Okay, so that was a very simple concept, but someone designed it by using Salesforce component, and many of the features in it was Salesforce out of box, and that app was selling like hotcakes. Like it was installed a huge number of times by almost all the orgs. So you need to identify which all things can be done by Salesforce out of box solution, and which all things needs a component or reusable components can be associated and used for it. And when we move on to development, definitely the best practices. I am sure everyone is aware of coding best practices. If not, Salesforce itself has a lot of blogs on it. Yep. I think someone has muted. Tapesh, can you go on mute, please? And let me get started again. Okay, so, okay guys, so yeah, so development best practices. Yeah, development best practices, I'm sure everyone is aware of. We should ensure that all our code are bulkified, which is pretty standard ones. We should avoid writing SOQL queries or DML statements inside for loops. Again, there are like so many best practices, especially the lightning ones are very much important. And forget about classic, guys. It's almost the time when we are in Salesforce Lightning. Okay, so its time is here. Another important thing is always tend to remove the dirty code. It has happened multiple times. I have seen, or whenever we have participated in a code review, along with other teams, we have seen like there are a lot of dirty codes left out, and the code review and cleanups are not done properly. And believe me, when we are going to submit a particular app for security review, and in that case, they are going to review each line of your code. So Salesforce architects, they definitely review each line of your code, and you need to have an explanation, all the syntax, all the comments, and every detail out of it. And it should match with the scenarios which you are building up and the story points you are associating with it. So this is the last slide which I'm going to speak a bit about and try to be fairly quick. And it's testing and launch readiness. So yeah, imagine if you have launched a particular app, and around after 100 installs, after 100 companies installing it, you find out a serious bug. The serious bug is it is deleting the client's data, okay, or it is deleting some data which you are completely not aware of. And somehow you pass that particular scenario with Salesforce check marks and security review, but you can't do anything because it's deleting data in client's org. So, and that can be a nightmare. Believe me, that can be a nightmare. With my last 11 years of Salesforce experience, yeah, that can be a nightmare. So to ensure that we are doing the best of the best testing, we need to ensure that the developer who is writing the code is the first person who is doing the testing. He is ensuring that all the unit tests, all the scenario-based testing is being first done by the developer themselves. If possible, definitely add on automated testing, and especially when there are complex UIs being made with a lot of filters, a lot of data being churned out behind the scenes, and complex calculations or algorithms being followed. Definitely automated testing will work, because no amount of manual testing can track down heavy data calculations, especially with finance domains and domains in which involve financial calculations. So that is a tough thing to track on. So yep. Now again, rigorous break testing. So I call it, like, Salesforce does provide logic to roll out different orgs, and you can request Salesforce with the specific case to increase the size of your dev org data, so that you can test for specific scenarios when you want to test it for 1 million records as well. So they will let you do that, and that's a request. You need to collaborate with Salesforce altogether. And you can also sometimes also get sandbox configured with certain records, and especially when you are building an application which is doing a third-party integration, okay, which is pulling or pushing data in and out of Salesforce, you need to be very careful doing that, and the testing should be well done. And many people or many companies are not aware of like how the results for third-party APIs are submitted. So that is also an interesting point where I see many people failing. So you should be able to test out those APIs and track down those results and submit it to Salesforce, because Salesforce themselves is not going to test those external API through which your code is calling out. So that is something which is your responsibility as a developer, as an architect, as a consultant, or app product manager altogether. So you need to track that down and share it. Now about launch readiness. So this is interesting. Since last so many years, Salesforce was not have changed the process multiple times for security review, or you can call it like the final launch. But and they have come up with this entire logic of business plan, the entire logic of technical code review and technical interview. And with my last 1.5 years of technical interviews with Salesforce architects directly, you definitely need to know your own code. You need to know your own code, okay? Because those interviews can go even up to an hour. and we have gone through that. And they ask you exactly why you have done this and why not this, why your code is doing this and why not this. So you need to know your own code. And it's again like a product manager cannot go ahead and just give the technical Salesforce technical interview. You need to have the technical people around with you who will be participating on those kind of interview, and they should be ready with that piece of information. Obviously, launch readiness definitely means pre and post install scripts test as well, and especially the secret weapon sometimes which can unleash behind your back is uninstall and data delete test. So you should not only plan the game of like, okay, I have installed, got my app installed on client's org and that's it. No, you should also plan to, what if the client uninstalls my app? Okay, and I've seen many senior level architects making that mistake, that they don't plan it in a way, and uninstallation become a pain. So that's something which definitely is something which you need to check on. And the testing should definitely be based on the different additions, the logic which you are trying to do. Make sure the multiple orgs which you are using, which will help you prepare for the launch readiness. Even Salesforce people are going to take your app, install it in a different org, and test it out. So yeah, that's it from my end. So guys, we can get started with the QA session. If anyone has any question, we can get started on it. And also, if you want someone have pinged that particular question, you can ask me directly.
Sure.
Hey Ajay, I have one question here. This is Mahesh from Forecastera. Am I audible?
Yeah, Mahesh, welcome from Forecast Setup. In past, probably we might have worked together. Yep, good.
Yeah. Yeah, here is my question. Suppose what is the best way to test our app in AppExchange? For example, so we'll post our product in AppExchange. Suppose it may contain many configuration settings if they want to use client itself, right? So if they want use instantly, okay, what is the best ways to give them the solutions in the AppExchange itself?
So obviously, Salesforce out of box provide trial force and a dummy orgs. Okay, so which you can configure, which you should configure always, I would say. So if you are having an app and you have set it up on AppExchange, you should definitely have a trial org setup, which a particular prospect or lead or your client can go ahead and simply click through it, pass through it, test it out, see the features, love it or hate it. They can respond back and give you the feedback.
Is
I
that
hope that answers.
Salesforce test org or is our own org? We can give.
No, you can't give your own org. It's like you submit a case with Salesforce. They will enable the trial org for you. It's a complete process, and then you will install the org. And even the end client will not even have to log in. They will just click on it. It will be like public login. It will have some dummy data. You can set up the exact scenarios you want to showcase. Suppose with Forecastera, the domain, the solutions you have is related to the time calendar and the calculation of the probably invoices or something like that. So all those calculation can be set up with some dummy data for a particular scenario related to any particular domain, and you can have those kind of different orgs set up. So not only one, you can set up multiple orgs of Salesforce.
Okay. Is there any data limitation for those orgs? The testing orgs?
Yes. Good news is Salesforce has limit to everything. So
Yes.
they have limit to everything. Even if we request like, okay, give me 100,000 records limit for X org, okay, even then it will be a limit. So 100,000 X orgs. So yeah, definitely every org has limit. You can definitely submit a case with Salesforce, and you can ask them to increase the limit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. You're always welcome, Mahesh. Anyone else having any question, guys? Go ahead. I have 11 years of experience. I need to share it.
Hi Ajay, Swati here from Dell.
Hey, hi Swati, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question on debugging. When we come up with the app exchange, right? It's like a package. Just now you have shown the slide as well. When we install in any org, right? However, the debugging, it seems very tedious to debug the things because in app exchange system wherever we develop it works fine, but when we install it, right, it doesn't work some cases. So the debugging, how?
Okay, that's a very good question. And in fact, you have the answer in your question itself. It's tedious. It's tedious. You mentioned the word, man. Sorry, you mentioned the word.
That's what we were facing issues actually,
Yes,
seriously.
Swati. So yeah, definitely. It's always tedious to do this kind of debugging. The basic problem which I see is not planning it nicely. See, that's the problem, Swati. What happens is like whenever a project manager or an architect plans out the App Exchange app, they will probably quote like, okay, it's 100-hour work and it will get done. But the truth is, and the formula, and especially the formula with experienced people who came outside from Salesforce, like I'm a Java developer originally, okay? So we always have a formula like, okay, if it is going to take 3 hours for development, then it should take at least 5 to 6 hours for testing, which that piece of estimation is not done properly. That's where I see the problem is. And definitely the debugging will take time, okay? So Salesforce has these cool, awesome features which they are probably trying to enhance as well. This, we call it like black box, okay? So where you can log into the Salesforce, your client's org, and you can see the debugs, okay? But again, seeing a debug is almost like all time Control F, search Control F, and find that field and find that debugs you have logged on and try to, it's almost like chess, right? You are trying to plan out your 5 steps ahead of what you are going to play. So yeah, it's there are a couple of tools. Salesforce is definitely coming up with better ideas and better tools. In the recent most, I think there is like some advancement Salesforce is about to come up, or they have already come up. But yeah, for debugging, there is definitely going to be more help.
Oh, but currently they have nothing, right, for us?
No, they definitely have. So you are talking about like just viewing the debug logs, or analyzing it
Exactly,
and
because
giving
the
you.
code we can't see in the installed org, right? So even in the debugs also, it won't give us that details. So what's happening, where the issue coming, we cannot. So only thing we have to end up on our assumptions. This could be the issue.
Yes, and a better programmer will be as doing a better assumption. So, Swati, I won't say that you're wrong. I can understand your problem, and how it works is you need to, while you are coding, you need to ensure that you leave those debugs statements in the right place with the right value character, so that whenever someone is viewing it, the results in X clients are, they're able to identify like, okay, if this is coming up means this might be the reason. Or as simple example, see, if I'm trying to develop an app which is dependent on content, okay, so the first step is I need to check whether that org is having content enabled or not, and that particular user who is using it has that content feature enabled or not, okay? In many cases you will write system debugs and everything, it will look like, okay, why it's not working, it's not coming up, okay? You will try to probably even say like, okay, Salesforce has some issue or this and that. But the very first step is that putting up a system debug message properly, like, okay, this particular user doesn't have a content. So it's a scenario, it's an example which I'm trying to give, but you should have the right system debug at right places.
So you mean to say whenever I come up with my app in my coding, I have to give those system.debugs, right? In that case, it whenever we install in the client's org, it shows that debug.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it will not
So
show,
now,
it will not show to the client. You will have to have a Salesforce black box. I suppose it's named as black box. So in your partner org, in which you have the access to all clients, you'll which I'm sure the next slides are, which Indrajeet is going to lead. He'll not explain about how to test it on your client org, but in the partner org, you can log in and you'll need to grant access, obviously. So you will grant access and you will be only able to see only the debug logs your packages has put, not other packages, not their data, not X data, not Y data, only your packages, packages system.debug.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good.
Ajay. At least you have let me know there is a black box thing which can help out.
Yeah, so whenever you get a chance, Swati, to work on a paid app or with a client, you will definitely give that feature. And you can ask if you are not having that access, all you need to do is submit a case with Salesforce and discuss it out with them. And thanks for asking that question, Swati. I'm glad if I am able to help or throw some light.
Yeah, some limelight. I got it. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So yeah, guys, any other quick question? Sagar, Sarabjit, I can see many people joining in. Venkat, Vishal. If no question, then also, what do you think? Like, we should move on to Indrajeet?
Yeah, let's move ahead. Thank you, Ajay. Let me call upon Indrajeet to continue with LMA and COA part.
Thank you, Asaf, for introducing. I really appreciate your introduction. Thank you guys who have joined us. I hope you guys really enjoyed the first part with Ajay about AppExchange Development Checklist. So today we will be discussing about license management app and channel order app, where I will give you a detail about what is LMA, COA, and how I manage my customer order, including how to configure and set up the channel order app that help you to create, submit, and track order with Salesforce, and the license management app to manage leads and licenses. So do find out in this webinar how you can save your time, effort, and other resources by keeping track of all licenses in an easy way by using LMA and improve organizational and individual productivity. Starting this agenda, you all will be interested to know what is license management application. Let's get started this agenda with what is LMA. The license management application let you manage leads and license for your AppExchange offerings. By integrating the LMA into your sales and marketing process, you can engage better with prospects, retain existing customer, and grow your independent software vendor. Also, you can create leads and license record for each installation of your package. The key object in the LMA are packages, leads, and licenses. After knowing about LMA, here question comes to everyone's mind. How do I get the LMA? The LMA may be already installed in your partner business org. If not, then here is the step-by-step process to get LMA for your organization. Moving to the next slide, where I will tell you in detail about the process to get LMA for your organization. Here is the screenshot in detail how you can raise case to get LMA for your environment. For getting LMA for your environment, you need to log into the partner community and then go to support tab, select new case, select license management application, and then select create a case. Once you will create a case, then here is the next screenshot where you will get details likewise, like step by step you need to follow these steps. For subtopic, you have to select request LMA, then you have to enter the required information in the description field and then submit case. After partner operation review the case, you receive an email with an installation URL. Now comes the interesting part. Once you get the installation URL, then how you can install the package in your environment. So here is the step-by-step process. Once you will get the installation URL, log into the org and then install the LMA. Confirm that you have installed the LMA by opening the app launcher in the Lightning Experience or app menu in Salesforce Classic. If the installation was successful, license management app appear in the list of available apps. Inside the LMA, you will get license, package, and package version. So here are some installation best practices. which you must follow, including basic rules such as LMA, should always be installed into the org where you run your business. This should be the org your lead manager log in to access their lead, accounts, contacts, and opportunities. Also, one of the important note, once you install LMA, you cannot uninstall it. And LMA only work with managed package and not unmanaged or beta packages. Okay, so now moving ahead, I will demo you how the configuration part and live demo of how I manage my customer record and activate their licenses using LMA. As discussed in the previous slide, once LMA is successfully installed in your environment, you can find it in the app launcher. You have to find it in the quick find box, license management app. So here you will find a license management app. From app launcher, you have to click license management app. And then you can proceed with next step, that is to assign a lead manager. If you don't assign a lead manager, you don't receive the lead record that are created when customer installs your offering. To get this done, you have to select a package associated in the LMA. Right now you can see one of my package, that is paid app, that is PinTag app. So it is already associated with our package. Let me give you a quick overview. What are the things that comes in within the package? So within a package, you will get a package name, that is PinTag. You have to enter package ID, release date, also the latest version of your app that is on AppExchange. So now here comes the interesting part. So here you have to enter the developer org ID. Like if someone like a lead manager is going to lead your packages, like managing all the licenses. So here there must be a exact information like org ID, lead manager, and everything. Then click on save to update your package. Now for managing license for your customer, you must have a section of modify license. This section will come likewise. From here, go to setup. Click on object manager tab. In the quick find box, search license. Let us edit the license. Go to page layout. And then edit the layout. At the bottom, by scrolling, go to Visual Force page. Here you see a modify license for license management. You just need to drag and drop into the section. So this modify license will help you to customize your license when customer comes up like I have n number of requirement, like I need to go with 50 license, 60 license. So when they come up with the requirement, you need to you must have a modify license section where you will update license likewise. Then you can give a sort of access to the client. Now click on save in this installation part. This all completes the configuration part of LMA. Let us move ahead to the live demo of LMA. So here is the process where I will tell you how I manage my customer license, and according to the requirement, how I activate and modify their licenses. Now you can see a record with details. This all comes in license object when any customer install the package from AppExchange. Here you can see the details. License type, editable. It means all the records can be updated here. License seats. This is default license which we are offering in our PinTag app, where user can access up to 10 seats in trial. Use license. Also you can check how many license is currently used by the user who has installed the app. It also includes install date, expiry date, and status that is in trial. So currently you can see the status is in trial. Now here comes the interesting part, where customer license is expired. He will request you to update it with active, with n number of license as per his requirement. Okay, let us assume if I get a requirement of 50 license from the customer to update his license into active. So these are the steps I will follow. I will change the status from trial to active. I will update his seats from 10 to 50 as per his requirement. I will re-verify the prospect information from its org ID and lead detail. At last, you can see an option of modify licenses where I will update number of seats as required and the expiry date, and then click on save. After all this process, this makes license into active. So these are the steps you have to follow to activate license of your customer as required. Okay, let's get started with the second and interesting part of this webinar, that is COA. It stands for Channel Order Application. The Channel Order Application is a tool that enables you to create, submit, and track order with Salesforce. All partners are required to submit an order as a result of a sales of the partner application. In simple terms, when you will get an order from your customer to activate the license, you have seen in first demo part how I update the license record according to the customer requirement. Now in this channel order application, I will create an order with detail of customer information which will be used to update Salesforce about the order information, which include customer purchase history of licenses. So here is the slide you can see to raise case from the partner community. Likewise, I have demoed in previous slide in LMA also that you have to submit a case from partner community. Once you will create a case, so these are the screens which I will be giving you a sort of demo. So in this, once you will get the access from COA, like from the partner community, you will get an installation URL from COA from the partner community. So these are the steps you need to install to COA in your environment where you will get COA app from AppExchange. You must make sure you install in the same environment where LMA is installed. So these are the data behind the COA. Once you will install COA in your environment, you will be getting 3 custom tabs: order, partner product catalog, and partner contract terms. Now moving ahead, let me give you a quick walkthrough of COA consisting configuration and live demo. In this demo part, I will let you know how to configure your channel order app to submit and track your order. As discussed in previous slide, how to raise case using partner community, and they will provide details such as username, API key, and activate code. Once you will get the details, here are the steps you need to follow. Search COA setup from the app launcher. Click on COA setup. Here you need to put all the information which you will get from partner community, such as username, API key, and activate code. Likewise, and then connect your COA. Now the next step is to configure your email service, where you have to follow these steps from setup. In the quick find box, search email services. Click on email services. Here is my email service is already created. Let me give you a quick overview of what is it all about. Here you need to put your service name of your email to identify, and for order status, put the details in Apex class using lookup. Now next step is to click on save and new email address, and then enter the details such as email address name, and very important part is to enter correct email address in the field of accept email from. Here this email address will be used to send order details to Salesforce after the completion of order. Okay, so moving ahead, I will give you a live demo of how are the process to create order using COA. Again, moving to the app launcher. In the app launcher, you have to find orders. So in this live demo of COA, I will let you know after order confirmation from the end client and activating their license according to the requirement using LMA, what are the steps you need to follow to create order using COA and how order details will be informed to Salesforce. So here are the step-by-step process you need to follow. So go to the app launcher, search for order in the quick find box. Likewise, I have done. So now you have to click on service order details to create an order. Let me quickly create a new order. Here you will find two customer types to submit your order. One is for your existing customer to whom you have already sold licenses, and another one is for new customer. For existing customer, there is a simple process where according to their requirement, you need to select order type add-on and search their company name or org ID in customer information, where every information will be automatically added in the order getting information from the previous order. At what rate license is sold and every detail will be automatically fetched once we will fill company name and org ID. Moving ahead in this demo, I will let you know the process of creating new order of a customer. So these are the step-by-step process you need to follow to submit order of a new customer. Switch your customer type from existing to new customer and a company name. Enter any org ID. So org ID must be relevant because if org ID is not relevant, it is not going to proceed with an order submission. Here you have to enter your country details like India, then street. Let me put my street detail of cloud analogy. So once you will fill all the details of client that to whom you are going to create an order, here comes the next part, that is order terms and condition, which are default for ISV contract, which include contract length, billing frequency, renewal term, contract to renew. Where contract can be renewed anytime, billing frequency is 1 month. Also cancellation term for any customer is up to 30 days. In the invoice description, you have to put a summary of details. Likewise, like if I have sold 50 licenses at the rate of $4 per user per month, so I will give a quick description like 50 licenses at the rate of $4 per user per month. So this is a step 1 where you will put all the information, then go to the next hierarchy. Here you have to click the plus icon to fetch every detail from your product catalog and combine it with your order. Now here comes the interesting part, where you need to fill pricing detail as well as number of license required by the customer, which will be done likewise. Increase number of license. As per the invoice description, put the number of license required by customer to 50. Price unit per month. In price unit per month, put the pricing detail of each number of individual license, that is $4. Here comes the total pricing details such as $200 total price and revenue share is 30%, which will go to Salesforce directly. For your information, Salesforce charges 15% of the total revenue at what price we sold the licenses. Here comes the last step of this order. Enter service start date is the date when you would like to start offering your service to the customer. Date when a partner receives customer order is the date when customer order for paid licensing. I am assuming they have ordered me around 5 days back, so I will give a date of like 12. At last, click on checkbox to agree terms and conditions and then submit your order. This is all the complete step to submit your order for AppExchange offering, and that is all from my end, COA, LMA, including steps to configure and live demo. Moving ahead to the next slide, that is QA. So you can come up with your questions, and also you can put your questions in the chat box.
Okay, Indrajeet, we have a question from the chat. His name is Vivek. He needs to know what is the basic difference between LMA and COA.
Okay, Vivek, thanks for your question. So, Vivek, I hope you have followed the webinar. So let me give you a quick overview of what is the difference between LMA and COA. So LMA is license management application. Like if a customer says that they are using trial version of your app, and if they are looking for paid version of your app, so they will select LMA. So from our end, we are going to activate their license using LMA, and then moving to the next step, that is COA, that is an order creation. So in this step, you have to enter every detail of your client, and then you have to submit your order, which will go directly to the Salesforce. So this is a basic difference between LMA and COA.
Yeah, hi Indrajeet. I have one question. So this is Sagar from Ahmedabad. So as I see in your demo, you generate the order, and once we finish that, right? So how the actual payment will be done? So those payment will goes into the via Salesforce, or how the payment will work?
Okay, thanks for your question. So let me give you a quick overview. So payment will be directly given to the ISV partner like us. So when client comes up to us, like they are seeking for 50 user license, and we will say that it is going to cost you around this price. So it will be directly to us. Once they will make the payment, then we will go to the next step, is to activate the license and create order. So order creation is all about informing Salesforce about the number of license we have sold. I hope.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of revenue share, right? So how the 50% will share? So you are transferring the payment to Salesforce account, or?
Yeah, exactly. We are once we will receive the payment. So Salesforce, what Salesforce do, since we are ISV partner, they will raise invoice on a monthly basis. So whenever we will get an invoice, so we are going to pay on a monthly basis to Salesforce of 15% revenue share. That what we have got from end client.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any more questions? I can see there are many people who are in this webinar.
Hi Indrajeet. Actually, I have one question. If we want like launch a free app, like I have idea or anything, so is there we need to use this channel or order or anything like that?
No. This is all about the paid app. For free app, there is no COA and LMA part includes, because this is all about activating your license using LMA and then informing Salesforce about the order. So for free app, there is no any certain thing.
So any pricing we need to give to Salesforce for free app also or not?
Can you please come up again?
Any pricing on the free app if we launch in AppExchange?
So there is a process. I hope you know. So there is a process, like once you have listed your app on AppExchange, like you say you have listed your app on AppExchange into the trial. Now you're planning to move your app from trial to paid. So there will be a technical interview goes up within Salesforce team. They will take an interview and they will say that, yep, this app is very much classified and it is very much good to go into the paid app. Then their process comes up like custom, that is license management and channel order app.
Okay. Means after like a review or everything, then they will consider for the other processes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Indrajeet, one more question I have. This is Sagar. So can we track the lead source, like suppose like I have one package and I want to identify that user has installed from where, either it's installed from the AppExchange, or it's installed from my website, or it's installed from the direct URL. So is there any way to identify the lead source?
Yeah, definitely. So what I have done for my organization, so I have created a lead source with different filters. Like when it comes from AppExchange, so there is a filter like AppExchange leads. When it comes from website, so I created a filter like lead come from website. So there is a unique filter I have created for each section to identify lead from where it is coming.
Okay, so it's automatically setting the lead source whenever the leads is created in LMA.
Yeah, exactly. So also you can see in license management that how much customer is using currently the license in their org and who all are their admin.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Ajay and Indrajeet. I really appreciate you both coming over and sharing some wonderful tips about Salesforce AppExchange and COA+LMA. It will surely help each one of us in our journey to transform our organization. Before we say goodbye, I would like to thank all of you for taking out time in your busy schedule for this webinar. I hope you all have enjoyed this webinar and have gained some valuable knowledge. I would also like to tell you that we have an upcoming webinar on Salesforce surveys, which will be hosted by Nitish, who is a Chief Information Officer at Cloud and Logi. This webinar will be hosted on 30th Jan 2020 at 3 p.m. GMT. Registration for this webinar is now live on www.cloudandlogi.com. Thank you all. We hope to see you next time, and we wish you all happy vacations.